you.
Yes.
So how old were you when you got the first Gardasil HPV vaccine?
07, so I was a sophomore in high school. Roughly,
7 years old?
No, 07.
07,
So,
okay, phew.
Yeah, so I was like a sophomore in high school.
Okay.
Probably about 15, 16.
And before that, were you vaccinated on date with whatever you
Yeah.
were told to do? So your parents just, did as they
followed.
respected?
Yeah.
Okay. So what did you think that the HPV Gardasil then was going to do for you?
My mother has had breast cancer as well as cervical cancer, so when she heard there was a shot that could prevent me from having cervical cancer, she was all for it. So she wanted that 3-part series and forced me to go ahead.
Did they
with
tell
it.
you that would prevent you from having cervical cancer?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a big line. It's actually completely untrue.
Yeah.
As you probably know now.
Yeah.
So tell us what happened. You have your first vaccine.
I immediately started getting headaches and started blacking out. And they said that there was no way that could have had anything to do with it. So then later we went on with the rest of the series.
And as you progressed on, can you remember the gap between the first and the second and the second and the third?
It looks as if there were 2 months in between the first and the second, and then about 1.5 years between the second and the third.
Okay, so there's quite a big gap.
Mhm.
Second one. Okay.
A little gap and then a big gap.
So after you have your third vaccine, but did you tell the doctor at any point you weren't feeling great after the ones before?
Yes.
And what did they say?
Each time. They said that couldn't have had anything to do with it. They said that it was normal for teenagers to get headaches, and it was normal for even the blacking out was not uncommon, which should definitely be, uncommon. But they just brushed it off, and I didn't know at the time to keep looking any deeper.
And so tell us what happened to you after your symptoms. What did you got? Did your headaches get worse?
Yes, my headaches got worse. I started having tingling through my limbs, my hands and my feet, primarily, and I mentioned that to them, and my medical records show exactly that those symptoms followed the vaccines within 30 days or so after, and they still just kind of brushed it off. We never found a reason until I started looking.
And how did that affect you? Were you, and many of these girls, not all of them, but many of these girls affected by Gardasil were extremely sporty. Not all of them. We've had a couple that didn't even do sport at all.
I was definitely active and
Right.
lost every bit of my energy. I wasn't active on any specific sports team or anything, but I was definitely an active teenager and liked to go out and, hang out with my friends. And after that, I didn't have any energy. I slept all the time. When I became irritable, they thought that I had ADD, ADHD, so then they tried medications that just worsened things, and eventually I got old enough to just refuse that altogether. And
did they at any point say that all your symptoms of the Gardasil were in your mind?
yes.
Because that seems to be
Yes.
something they love to tell these poor Gardasil girls and boys. It's okay, you can have a tissue. They did. What did they
Yes.
say to you?
They said that they said it was normal for teenagers to have these symptoms, and that I could just be putting on for attention. The sleep, they said, it's just because you went to school and then you want to sleep in the afternoons. But I couldn't even stay awake during my junior and senior year. I went from a straight A student to started slacking off a little bit. And I know typically that's common, but it was uncommon for me to start slacking off like that.
Okay, I get you want to rip that photo off. We do normally have a box of toys. We're taking them outside. Yeah. We're going to get you some toys so you don't rip all our photographs up. How's that? Yes? Cheeky monkey. Okay, here we go. Some toys coming our way right now. Look at that. So, do not give her a banana. No one else. Only my Periscope peeps will understand that. Okay, so your grades started slipping.
Yes.
You still didn't feel good, and how did you get out of this?
Well, my headaches still come. They still say, well, that, you know, people have headaches, that's just normal. But I did notice that I never complained of a headache before I started getting those 3 shots. And my mom noticed that I didn't complain of any headaches prior, but there was no proof of that since it's just headaches. I mean, that was hard to prove. My energy level did increase over time as I felt like things started to fade. And then they had me in physical therapy for quite some time to try to increase the energy, and my muscles were tight, my joints were tight. That seemed to help, but I still have problems in that area.
Do you still have problems even today?
Yes. Yeah, I still have headaches. I still get some tingling, not nearly as bad as right after the shots, but I still to this day feel the tingling, and there's no explanation other than my medical records lining up with those symptoms.
It's the same symptoms of these Gardasil girls the whole time. All right, so then you go on, you have your first child. Is that a girl or boy?
Girl.
A girl. Now you're still into vaccines.
Yeah.
Because they're telling you it's normal, it's not the vaccine,
well,
that kind of stuff.
I thought at the time that that vaccines, something, my gut told me that something wasn't right, but I just trusted what I was told, and I thought that all these things like polio was now non-existent because we had vaccines, and I later found that to be completely false. But I went on to vaccinate her until she was 21 months of age, and it just so happened our doctor, our insurance switched, and he said, we can't see you anymore. This happened to be the doctor that gave me all these shots and was my doctor since 1991. So in 2012, he switched insurance, or we switched insurance, and he couldn't take it. So my oldest daughter, we didn't vaccinate her beyond that point, because when we switched doctors, that doctor said the insurance company would pay for the vaccines, but not for them to administer them. So I now see that as a blessing in disguise.
Are you kidding me? Yes.
Yeah, it was very odd how that worked out. You cannot have
She is trying to take my favourite picture off the wall.
Look, they have sunglasses in there. We like sunglasses.
So so she was, how is she though? Because how many vaccines did you say she got?
21, and a few of those were combos. You know, so I count MMR as 3 shots, but she had 21 total or 24, I'm sorry, by 21 months of age.
And this little one down here
had none.
And you can kind of tell these unvaccinated because they're really, really naughty. No, I'm just kidding. They're not. They're just feisty. So tell me the difference between your oldest that's partially vaccinated and your youngest, and I don't mean in love, we know you love them the same, I purely mean in health.
I can tell the difference in their immune systems. This one, she has been sick one time. She's not ever had any earaches or anything like that. She's never had any severe earaches, other than some a little bit of seasonal allergies, but nothing major. My oldest, every time she gets sick, well, I should say she gets sick every time anybody else gets sick at school, and then she keeps it longer. It's harder for her to fight it off, regardless of how much vitamins and nutrients that I give her. There's just a difference in how well they respond.
Is there anything that would make you vaccinate yourself, your family, your beautiful girls?
No, never again.
Do you realise now what a big lie vaccines are?
Yes, absolutely.
How do you feel about that you and your daughter could have been completely different health-wise?
I feel like we were all betrayed just because we were told one thing and it turned out, well, I feel as if none of it were true. And I feel like
yes, hi.
Their reasons for wanting us to have them were also false.
Right. Now, what's your advice to the young mum that you used to be? So say you're standing in front of yourself when you first were pregnant. What? Yeah. Oh, you're so cute. Did you hear? She looked at me and went, no.
If I were speaking to myself
So
back
cute.
then, I would have to tell myself that those moms who are trying to tell you to look a little deeper, they're really not trying to mom shame, and they're really not trying to do anything of the sort. They just want you to dig a little deeper. They just want you to research more for yourself. Doctors may have the best intentions in mind, but a lot of them just don't. They don't even know what's in those vaccines themselves. If you ask them what the ingredients are, they don't know. If you ask them the common side effects, they don't know. And that to me is a little scary.
Can you describe to another parent, as someone who has suffered injury yourself from a vaccine, why you would not wish that on anyone, even your worst enemy?
Because it's unnecessary. Just completely unnecessary to have to go through all of this stuff. When we have an immune system that we were given for a reason, and to say that one risk, I know some people feel that the risk of the disease is greater than the risk of the shots, but that's so entirely not true. You guys know because you've spoken to thousands, but those who are still pro-vaccine may think that it's 1 in a million chance of something happening to your child, and the risk is so much greater. You are a mess.
Yeah, it's really hot in here.
Yeah.
It's ghastly. Okay, well listen, let's go and find the bus.
Okay.
Let's go and do that. But thank you so much for your story. And I think you need to go and play with Ziggy. Yes, you do. You and Ziggy are going to get on really, really well. All right, guys, we're coming back in a minute. We've got some more stories coming up.
Oh.